Hey, I'm Alex,
And I'm Brandon.
and welcome to Living Electric.
We're both content creators and electric vehicle enthusiasts.
And through this podcast, we hope to share our experience with owning electric vehicles and help you join the electric life. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Living Electric. Today, we're going to be doing a deeper dive into charging. I think we touched on it briefly in episode 1, and we actually got a lot of good comments on it as well. So Brandon's going to share a couple of those because we actually got some good comments from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. To begin, just thank you guys for supporting us and leaving your comments and giving us some good feedback on how to record our podcast. It honestly means a lot to us. The first comment I want to mention on YouTube is by bballer347. They mentioned as a Midwesterner in the Chicago suburbs are looking to hopefully purchase a Tesla this year. So they're looking forward to this podcast. So thank you for your support, bballer. Awesome username. And then the next comment is by Charlie Plunkett. He was talking about how our podcast is pretty promising, especially how Alex and I collaborate with each other and our individual styles complement each other. So thank you, Charlie, for that compliment and the comment on our YouTube channel. And then the last thing we want to talk about is an email that we received from a podcaster professional or someone who contracts to help people who are recording podcasts. His name is Ed with, what was it? It was Sonic Cupcakes?
Yeah,
Podcasting?
I think so. Sonic Cupcake, something like that.
Yeah, so we want to give a big thank you to Ed for giving us some tips and advice for audio recording, volume levels, and just giving us some good feedback. Especially randomly getting an email like that really means a lot.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, and I don't know how much we talked about it in episode 1, but we're definitely not professionals in this space. We haven't really done this before. We're kind of learning everything as we go. So any feedback you guys have or anything you think that we can do to make this podcast higher quality or sound better or just like it's easier for you guys to listen to, definitely let us know. We're open to any comments.
Absolutely. And also too, I want to say if you guys do have any questions, let us know on Twitter or Facebook, wherever you guys can find our podcast. We're always looking to help everybody.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, these first couple episodes, I think we're going to lean pretty heavily on topics we've discussed on the past and on YouTube, but we're definitely very open to any audience questions. That's really what this podcast is for you guys. So if there's specific things you want us to cover, definitely reach out on social media, either me or Brandon or the Living Electric handles on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, any of those things. So first we're going to talk about Brandon's video. He talked a little bit about the redesigned Bolts. I think they're going to be coming out with a slightly different form factor. And then we'll get into the EVs of CES. They had some new vehicles released there. GM had a big keynote where they talked about their kind of plans for an electrified future with their vehicles. New Sony vehicle, possibly a new BMW vehicle. There's also a new Porsche coming out. It was released in 2019, and they're just now releasing an entry-level variant that's a little bit cheaper and more affordable for somebody that's maybe looking for a luxury car. We'll talk about my video, Living Without a Home Charger, and then we'll get into do a deeper dive into charging, like we mentioned at the top of the episode. So Brandon, let's hear about your Bolt video.
So as a Bolt owner, I'm actually pretty excited about GM's unveiling of the Bolt EUV, which is their electric crossover, their variant of the Bolt EV, as well as the brand new redesign of the Bolt on February 14th with Disney, which is Valentine's Day. Not exactly sure why they chose Valentine's Day, but it's coming up.
Yeah. Does EUV, does that stand for like electrified utility vehicle? Like
I think so.
As opposed to an SUV? I would think so,
yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I thought that maybe it would be like electric utility vehicle, but it could be electrified.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that they're just trying to keep it within the Bolt family, where Bolt EV, I think that they're just trying to go up the different versions. But pretty much in my video, I just discussed some teaser shots that we've seen from Chevy's social media, some renderings that some Photoshop editors have put together, as well as some dash cam spy shots of the new Bolt that General Motors actually demanded be removed from the internet.
I saw that. So hope your video doesn't get doxxed for including spy images.
Yeah, hopefully not.
But that also means if they're asking people to take it down, it probably means that it's actually the vehicle. So
yeah, Yeah, I think they caught it like randomly testing in the countryside of Montana or something
So
like that.
strange.
It was just a random appearance. So yeah, so like I kind of dive into things that like I'm hoping that they're going to be changing with the new Bolt as well as the EUV, some expectations and just what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. And your bolt's currently in the shop, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you want to
Yes,
get
it
into it or
is.
not, but I thought it'd be a
Yeah.
good story to tell.
Yeah. So man, I don't even know where to start. I've had my Bolt for about a year and a half now, and my ownership experience has been very up and down. It's has not been a very leveled ownership experience. So my Bolt is in the dealership right now, waiting for parts to arrive because there's a part shortage. The driver's seat has broke for a fourth time, and I'm not, I'm not incredibly overweight. I'm not the healthiest, but I feel like the seat frame should have hold up.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a shortage, and it's been in the shop for 2 weeks now,
Mm.
with no idea when we're going to get our car back.
Is
So
that a COVID shortage, like from people not being able to produce parts?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was talking to the service, the director, and their entire dealership lot is empty.
Oh,
Like they don't have vehicles to sell, and
geez.
it's pretty sad. But I know almost every manufacturer is running into that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
not necessarily a Bolt specific issue, so we don't want to scare you guys. Like,
No,
so it's
yeah,
it
but the
got
seat
terrible.
is.
Yeah, seat doesn't sound like it's in good shape, but
No. Apparently, it's pretty common for Bolt owners to have broken driver's seat.
that's
So
a shame.
I don't know why, but they apparently redesigned it and reinforced it. So I'll let you guys know in like 3 weeks
Yeah,
when it breaks
exactly.
again. So,
And I've been looking on like some of the EV forums and stuff. There are some incredibly cheap bolts out there to buy right now.
oh
Like
yeah.
you can get them under 20 grand easily, and they're like, I mean, Brandon, you've had it for a while now, but it's still a solid little car. Like it's very
Oh yeah.
capable as an EV. It's got fast charging. It's got over 250 miles of range for the new ones, and
Mhm.
I mean, it's still a good car. So if you're looking to
Yeah,
just kind of get into an EV, that's a good one to check out.
yeah. I can say that I definitely recommend the Bolt in terms of like power and like how it handles. I
Mhm.
love it. It's a blast to drive.
Yeah, I test drove
Yeah.
one. I think it was 2019, but I really liked it. It feels like a normal car just with a little extra push. So,
Yeah. Yeah, a little pep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I agree. You can definitely find some good deals. We had a friend who was looking at one. It was $18,000 off.
Holy cow.
Brand new.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was the fully loaded Premier version. So
Damn.
every option. Yeah.
Damn.
It's unbelievable.
So not only is the Bolts getting a refresh or redesign, but there's also a lot of new EVs that came out of CES. I think Brandon, you probably have better insight into that because you watched GM's whole presentation, didn't you?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what new
Yeah.
vehicles can we expect from them?
So GM is working on their Ultium battery plant here in Lordstown, Ohio. So they're working on brand new cells that are going to offer over 300 plus miles of range. And the cool thing about these cells or these battery packs is that they're variable, so like you can have them in different vehicles.
Okay.
So they're working on an array of cars, pickup trucks, fully capable SUVs, sports cars, you name it. Pretty much they're going to be unveiling. I think by I think it was 2025 or 2028, they're going to have 25 brand new electric cars
Okay.
that people can buy.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like so many companies were like, "Oh, we're gonna have 12 electric cars by 2020," and then it's like 2020, and none of them have electric
Yeah.
cars, or they're not good electric cars. So, I'm hoping that
We're talking
pans
about
out.
Volkswagen, right?
Yeah, yeah. The Lordstown plant is pretty cool. That's right here in Ohio. I think you've driven past it a couple times too, right? They're making pretty good
Yeah.
progress with it.
Yeah, it's been a few months since I've been there, but from like the drone flyovers I've seen, they're pretty much done with the outside of it. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
That's what
not
it looks like.
gigafactory size. Another cool thing that that GM announced at CES is a company called BrightDrop. They are designing cargo vans as well as like electrified pallets for
Oh,
logistic companies.
interesting. Electrified
So
pallets. Okay.
yeah. I thought that was interesting too. So basically, they're like boxes with electric motors in each wheel, and it's supposed to help with physical strain on like employees,
Oh, okay.
as well as autonomous features. So like I believe that these like boxes you can just place them out of the truck and they'll go and deliver and then bring them right back to the truck.
Huh.
I think that's what they're hoping for.
That's pretty cool. Almost like
Yeah.
a mini forklift kind of to like roll it around instead of like lifting it up and driving it somewhere.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. And I do know that they're all connected. So BrightDrop's main feature, like characteristic, is that they want everything to be an ecosystem. So companies can keep track of where their shipments are, where things are being delivered, where their employees are. So it seems like a pretty cool thing. And I know that it's all mobile active.
Yeah.
So like people can just use iPads or whatever to keep track of items.
Interesting. So we also saw the Sony Vision S, which we originally saw at CES in 2018, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was in 2018.
2018. But it looks a lot like a Model 3, almost like, I want to say a Model 3 and a Porsche Taycan like combined almost. Like
Yeah.
it's a very sleek design, and people
Mhm.
loved it at CES. Like there was so much coverage of it, and people were very excited about this. And it was a Sony car, which is kind of weird, but if you think about Sony, like they produce all kinds of different electronic stuff. So this was kind of just a fun project for them to show off all of their different features. I mean, Sony makes
Oh, yeah.
screens, so they could put some screens in the car. They make chips. They make all kinds of different electronic stuff. So kind
Yeah.
of showing all that
Yeah.
off. But since it's done so well, I believe they're going to start producing it at some point.
I think so. I know that when they first teased it, they said that they weren't going to bring it into
Yeah.
production. But I agree. I think since it was so well regarded, I think they have customers
Yeah.
that would purchase that.
Yeah, definitely. So there's
So-
that. And then BMW talked a little bit about their iDrive, which is kind of their whole electrified line, because we've had the i3 for a while now, the i8, and I think they're going to kind of take that to the next step.
Yeah, with their iX SUV,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that they've been teasing their i4 electric sedan,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of similar to like a 3 Series or a 4 Series.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be unveiling that soon.
Yeah. And then Porsche came out with their entry-level Taycan finally. So it starts at just under 80,000, I think, but that's with like no options, bare bones, like nothing added.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you add like better seats, it's like goes up $2,000 or something ridiculous because it's Porsche.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Porsche is definitely known for their long list of options.
So,
yeah.
but they are still
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, they're still eligible for the tax credit, so you can get $7,500 off by buying a Porsche. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Makes it a little more
The Taycan's
affordable.
beautiful.
I definitely wouldn't recommend it for anybody that's like their first EV, unless it's literally going to be like a nice luxury car and they've got other cars with them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But it's cool that Porsche is kind of getting into that market because I feel like their cars are so crazy.
Oh yeah. And you know, believe it or not, the Taycan's actually becoming their top seller.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're outselling almost every other one of their vehicles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have not
Yeah,
driven
just-
one of those yet, but did you get a chance to drive it?
not yet. I have an opportunity to do that,
Okay.
but with everything going on with the pandemic,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, not yet at least.
Yeah, that's a video I definitely want to do this year.
Same. I really want to go drive one. We have I think about 10 around us.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Like yeah, people who own them.
Wow.
And they're I mean like you see them coming down the road and they look like nothing else out there.
Yeah, they're super futuristic.
Beautiful. One day. That's kind of a dream car of mine.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
So my video from, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, because it dropped the same day that we recorded episode 1, I believe.
Yes.
But
Yeah, I
I
think
talked
so.
about living without a home charger. So for those that don't know my situation, I bought my car in 2018. 2019. And at that point, November 2019. So at that point, I was driving into work every day. And fortunately, our office actually has over a dozen chargers. They're all level 2 chargers, so I'm able to charge at work. I would just drive there in the morning, plug in. It'd be up to 80 or 90%, whatever I chose by the end of the day, no problem. And it stayed up there because I had a very short commute to work. I would drive to work every day, plug in, no big deal. Come March, our office decided everybody's working from home now, rightly so, probably. But I lost access to my charging. So I was kind of stranded there and didn't really have a good option to charge at home. So luckily, the apartment I was living at had a charger at a bank right across the street. So then I would just drive over there, plug my car in, walk back to my apartment because it was like less than a 5 minute walk, and
Wow.
would just leave my car charging there throughout the day if I needed to, and was able to charge up most of the way. So I did that for a while, and it was okay, but as it started to get colder, it definitely was less comfortable because I didn't enjoy the lunch walks anymore. It was more of a like lunch journey in the cold to go pick up my car or drop my car off.
Right. Yeah, I can picture that now.
Yeah. We recently moved complexes, and we are now living in a complex that doesn't have any sort of level 2 charger within like 3 miles of it. I think the closest one is just over 3 miles away, so not quite within
Wow.
walking distance anymore that I could do quickly. That's probably like an hour or so walk, and I don't really want to run, so
Especially in the winter.
especially in the winter.
Especially in the
Yeah.
winter.
So my best option right now is I've actually got a supercharger probably about 10 minutes away, and that's what I've been doing basically the whole time is once a week or so I will drive over there to the supercharger, plug in. If I don't have any errands to run, I'll just sit there for the half hour and maybe get some work done on my phone or scroll through social media or whatever. But it's also right next to a Kroger that I can go get groceries at. So that's what I've
Yeah.
actually been doing the most often is anytime we got to get groceries, that's the Kroger I suggest to my girlfriend that we go to. And so we'll plug in my car, and within 20 or 30 minutes, it's charged up most of the way, and I've got enough charge to last the week. So
Oh, that's perfect.
yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back in the office. I think we're supposed to around like June or July. So I'll have access to my charging again. But for now, my apartment doesn't have any charging. I actually asked about getting a garage here, and the garages don't have plugs in them at all. The only plug
Oh,
they
they don't?
have, I actually kind of snuck into one of the garages to see what it looks like. It's completely bare on all of the walls. There's no plugs or anything, but there is a single plug where the garage opener plugs into. So there's
Oh, in the
one in
ceiling?
the ceiling, but it's only one plug, and I'm not sure how much current those pull because if I tried to like put an
Oh.
extension cord or an adapter on there and my car
Oh,
was
yeah.
charging and then the garage door tried to open, I feel like it might trip a breaker because that's a lot of current that it's pulling.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So for now, I'm just
Wow.
kind of riding it out. It's definitely not convenient to go to the supercharger, but I think it's about as convenient as visiting a gas station, quite honestly, because I would go probably about once a week. It would take 10 minutes of my time. It's usually when I would go get groceries because I stop at the Kroger and most of them have gas stations. So
Hmm.
I think it's pretty comparable to a gas car right now. But it can be done, I guess, is kind of the point of it. And the point of the video is you can do it. It's definitely not the most convenient thing. And my general recommendation for anybody is not to get an EV unless you have access to charging on a daily basis because that makes it the most convenient. I know
Hmm.
Brandon charges his car at home. It's like no big deal at all. You can probably speak more on that.
Well, that's when I have a car.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's when
exactly.
that's when it's at the house.
Yeah.
But it is really nice. I can attest to that because there was a long time before we had a home charger, and I would just use the mobile charger, and it would take
Oh,
like
yeah.
a long time to
Yeah.
charge.
So in terms of charging, we've been talking a lot about different levels of charging. You'll hear us say level 2 or fast charging or supercharging. And I think people that aren't experienced with EVs or haven't researched them a lot, this might be pretty foreign to them. So
Hmm.
we really want to deep dive in here and talk about what all of this means kind of on a basic level and then kind of see where the conversation goes, see if we get more in depth from there. So Brandon, do you want to talk about like the levels of charging?
Definitely. I will definitely keep this an overview,
Yeah.
not dive too much into it until future episodes. But really, the way that you could look at it is that you could keep it simple as a three-tier explanation of charging. So the first one is considered level one. This is what you'd find like at a typical household outlet. So then a level two would be something that's more high powered. This would be something like a 240 line or a public charging station that you'd find like at a grocery store or someplace that you'd be spending a little bit longer time charging there. This would probably charge your car in about 4 to 8 hours. So this is typically what you would plug in overnight. And then a level three would be something similar to like a Tesla supercharger or what is considered to be a DC fast charging station. So this is something that would charge your car at a high power output and that can charge your car anywhere from say 15 minutes to 1 hour, depending on what your vehicle can accept. So these are pretty fast charging stations.
Yeah, so the level one, or the we usually call it like trickle charging, that's the cord that is included with the car in most cases. So that just plugs into a regular wall outlet like your laptop or your phone, anything like that. And obviously those kind of plugs really aren't built for electric cars. They're built for small electronics or smaller things, so that's not going to charge your car very fast. I know on my car I typically see around 5 miles of range added per hour, which is incredibly slow, but I have definitely done it on road trips before when I've stopped to stay with family. I will plug in there, and 5 miles of range per hour doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're charging overnight or charging for multiple days, that can add up very quickly. So I definitely recommend always keeping something like that with you so that you can plug in.
Yeah, I will say that's good for in case of an emergency too.
Absolutely.
Like similar to like what I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a home charger for a while.
Yeah.
So I had to plug in, and overnight I would get about 80 miles, which would cover my 50-mile commute easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very doable.
Yeah, so then level two, like Brandon was saying, they're mostly in public areas. It takes anywhere from 4 to 8 hours to charge up all the way. That was what I was using at that bank across the street from my apartment. That was a level two charger. I wasn't able to charge up all the way, but it was enough to get the job done. And this is what you'll usually see in like shopping centers and stuff. I know the outlets like 45 minutes north of us have them. So if we're driving up there for the day and spending a couple hours there, it's very nice to be able to plug in there.
Absolutely. And it's nice to have something like that at your house too, which is a similar power output, but just a smaller package.
Yeah. And the level
Fits
two
in the
chargers
dash
are
bed.
typically what people get installed on their garages when you get an EV, and it's definitely the route to go. You can get by with the level one chargers, but the level two helps a ton, and it's the same voltage as like your dryer outlet. It's essentially what they usually install. And you can either get a nice charger like Brandon has, or you can just get a regular 240 volt outlet installed. Both those options work. So for level one and two, those are AC charging. That's alternating current charging. And without getting too technical, those chargers essentially act as a switch to turn on and off charging. So when your car is plugged in, that AC charger, which it's not even really a charger in this case, it will switch on and start providing power to your car. And the actual charging happens in your car. So when you plug in, that AC power is delivered to the charger in your car, and that gets converted to DC direct current to charge the battery. So battery charging has to occur with direct current, and level one and two are AC. So all the charging happens in the car. And then when we move up to level three, that is direct current charging. And that's why it can charge so fast, is because those are actually charging your car. They're providing the power. You can plug it essentially directly into your battery to charge up your car.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's actually stuff that I forgot about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really had to talk about that since Tesla. Yeah.
So I guess you'll hear a lot of people refer to them as electric vehicle chargers, but I guess the correct term is EVSE, which is electric vehicle supply unit. Those cover the whole umbrella of charging, level one, level two, and level three. But level three are the only true EV chargers. Like Brandon was saying, the superchargers are typically what you see at level three. We've also got a huge network from Electrify America. That's probably the network you use most often, right?
Most often, yeah. For road trips and things like that.
Yeah. So the network is getting pretty big. If we want to get into kind of road trip stuff, we can. That might be a better future episode, though.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
Road tripping with an EV.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like we could definitely get into details about that.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about EV charging without getting super technical, because it is kind of a technical thing. It's not like gas where it's just simple. You put it in your car and then it goes. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot. It gets pretty complicated, but I think if you understand those three levels, I think that makes it pretty easy. The only other thing that might be a little confusing for anybody that's new to an electric vehicle are the different charging connectors. That's probably
Mhm.
the other confusing part. And Brandon and I actually did a video on ChargeWay, which did a pretty good breakdown and makes it very easy to understand. They essentially split it up into what they call like electric fuel. So their charge
Mhm.
levels are all the same, level 1, 2, 3, and then after 3, it goes all the way up to 7, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah. For the most powerful.
Yeah, because DC charging can vary incredibly widely compared to level 1 and level 2. Those are pretty straightforward, but at level 3, you can get anywhere from like 50 kilowatts. I think is that where yours typically
Uh,
charges?
it actually starts around like 25 kilowatts.
Okay.
That's what they consider. Yeah, and then it goes all the way north of 350.
Yeah, so it
So
can get
it's a
incredibly
huge window.
fast, and it's getting faster too. So
Hmm.
so they use like those levels of charging, and then they split the different connector types into red, blue, and green. So red are like the Tesla chargers, the Tesla connector. That's what I have,
Hmm.
and I've got a little adapter that I can carry around that works on all the public stations. So
Yeah.
I guess there's probably four main types of connectors, right?
Yes. Yeah. For now.
Yeah, for now. So
Yeah.
I've got a Tesla. That's what I'm most familiar with. So I've got the Tesla connector. There's also the J1772. Some people call it the
Hmm.
J plug. What else do we call it? Are
I
those kind of
just
the
I
two?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's going to be the most common plug for electric vehicles,
Yeah.
besides Tesla vehicles.
So we got the J
Is what it
plug,
is there.
and then for fast charging, we've got the CCS adapter or CCS combo, which is kind
Yep.
of it looks exactly like the J plug, but it's just got two extra ports on it for the fast charging.
Yeah, which is another most common DC fast charging standard.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
CHAdeMO is you actually did a video on this, but CHAdeMO is kind of it's going to end up going away.
Yeah, at least in the United States,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, yeah. CHAdeMO, it's an acronym. It starts for Charge and Go or Charge and Move. So believe it or not, the CHAdeMO is actually the fastest charging standard out of all of them.
Really?
They can charge upwards of 400 kilowatts.
Wow.
But no cars can take that right now.
Mhm.
But yeah, so CHAdeMO is a technology I think that's going to fade away here in the US
Yeah. Yeah.
in favor of Tesla and the CCS.
Definitely. Like for my car, I have the Tesla connector that is the port on my car, so I can plug in any supercharger directly to my car. My mobile adapter plugs directly into my car. But for J plugs, those are the other ones that I'm compatible with. I've got this little adapter. It's probably like 2 or 3 inches long,
Mhm.
and I just plug the J plug into that, and then that can be plugged into my car. So pretty easy on that side. For fast charging, you can buy a CHAdeMO adapter for the Tesla so that you can fast charge at CHAdeMO chargers, but I don't believe there is an official CCS adapter from Tesla. I think some companies have worked on it and there's one released right now, but I'm not sure how official or how safe it is to use.
I actually Tesla does have a CCS adapter, but it's only in Korea right now in South
Oh,
Korea.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why they chose that market instead of doing like a global launch.
Yeah,
But I think eventually Tesla drivers will be able to use that.
interesting.
And it's much smaller than the CHAdeMO adapter,
Yeah,
so that's nice.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the CHAdeMO adapter is pretty big. It's expensive too. I think it's like $400+ to buy right now. Um,
Yeah,
but it's like
yeah,
it's probably 2 or 3 feet long. So you got to
yeah,
plug the
and it's
CHAdeMO.
heavy.
Yeah, and it's heavy. So you got to plug
Yeah,
the CHAdeMO adapter or the CHAdeMO plug into that, and then the other end plugs into your car. So that's all the options I think on the Tesla side in terms of adapters. But you can use basically any charger that you want. You're not necessarily limited by charging based on the vehicle you have. There are a lot of adapters out there.
absolutely. And as we mentioned, the charging network here in the United States is growing rapidly
Yeah.
for almost every electric vehicle
Hmm.
charging standard. So makes road trips and charging a lot easier.
Definitely. So what about your Bolts? What's like charging and adapters like for you?
So for my Bolt, it uses the CCS adapter. So it can charge up to max around 50 kilowatts. On a good summer day, I've seen upwards of 57, which is something I didn't think it was capable of doing.
Nice.
So it works really well. Over the summer, I managed to do 2 road trips down to West Virginia and Bowling Green, Kentucky, upwards of 2,000 miles. And the car's only rated at about 238 miles. And I could do it thanks to those fast chargers. It's been really easy to find the charging stations using apps like ChargeWay and PlugShare and locating public charging stations. The one thing I do wish is that the Bolt charged just a little faster.
Hmm.
It's doable. It takes about an hour to get to 80%. Fortunately, those stations are placed at like grocery stores or gas stations, which is ironic, but it's kind of nice being at a Sheetz. And just places where you can go out, stretch your legs while your car's charging.
Yeah,
So overall, it's been a pretty good experience with charging the Bolt.
that's good. And you've
Yeah.
got the J plug on there, so you can plug in basically any public charger. Like the only ones that aren't compatible, I guess, is like you can't pull up to a supercharger and plug in. Like there's no adapter for that, unfortunately.
No, there is an adapter for Tesla's destination chargers, and I guess we can talk about that in a future video what those are, or a future podcast. My bad. The destination chargers are at places like bed and breakfasts, or sometimes you can find them at grocery stores or hotels.
Yeah.
But there's an adapter you can use to plug in a Tesla port to a J1772.
Okay.
But it's third party, and I don't know exactly how safe it is, but people swear by them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's called like a Tesla tap. I think that's one
Oh,
of
yeah,
them.
I've heard of that. Okay. Yeah, because Tesla doesn't only make superchargers, they also make destination chargers, which are they're essentially level 2 chargers just with a
Pretty
Tesla plug
much.
on them.
But I can't go to a supercharger.
Yeah.
I think those are software locked, and
Yeah.
two, those are
Yeah, I
way
think if
too
it didn't
powerful for my
recognize a
car.
Tesla car, it's just not going to start the charge. So in terms of charging, when you first look at it, it might seem like, oh, it's going to take forever to charge my car. It's going to waste so much time. It's going to take like so much time out of my day. But in reality, when you're charging your car, it's typically when you're parked somewhere where your car is already sitting. I mean, think about how much time you're actually driving your car throughout the day. It's probably not more than an hour on a typical day unless you're somebody that does a ton of driving. So you've got 23 plus hours out of the day that your car is literally just sitting there. So anytime it's parked, that is an opportunity to charge. And like I was saying, like I would drive to work, my car would just sit in the parking lot, might as well charge it. So,
Yeah.
and I mean for Brandon when he drives home, it's sitting in his garage or in his driveway for however long, overnights or even longer, and he can just keep it plugged in while it's sitting there.
Yeah, the way I look at it is that if you plug in your phone every night, it's really just that simple.
Yeah.
You get home, plug in your car, and then it just charges,
Yep.
and you wake up to a fully charged battery.
Yeah.
Similar to work, because I had a work experience too, where I could just plug in the morning and get in my car on the way home, and it's good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So I think a lot of people get like kind of tripped up by that, and especially range kind of plays into that too. So if you see like, oh, well, this only has 250 miles of range, like I'm not going to be able to like get to work every day. And it's like, well, I mean, you're leaving your house every day with 250 miles of range. It's not like it's not like you most people aren't in a situation like me where they're worrying about trying to go fill up when it gets down below 20% or gets down below 50 miles. Like most people are leaving work or leaving their house with a close to full charge every day.
And I think the statistic says that like 90% of Americans have a less than 50-mile round trip commute.
Yeah.
So unless your electric car can only handle 50 miles, it's going to be capable of doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
a lot of people with even like first gen Leafs that get like less than 100 miles, like literally just use them for a commuter car.
Yeah.
And I think that's the place I think a lot of people are starting to see themselves with an EV is have an EV for commuting if you've got like a single working family home, and your other car then can be a gas car or a hybrid car that you use for those long road trips. But just for getting around town and commuting, like nothing beats an EV in my opinion.
No, especially not the financial savings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know for me, I went from driving a gas powered car and spending about $200 plus a month on
Jeez.
gas.
Yeah, I was in the same
And
boat.
yeah, it's insane how much money I would just throw away. into gas.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since we switched to electric, I've been spending less than $30 a month on
Wow.
my full commute when I was driving to work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you save so much money by switching to electric.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, but they're perfect commuter cars. I
Definitely.
agree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So funny story about charging. I do a lot of like local events here, and we'll help out at different EV events in Columbus, and I'm sure Brandon has done the same. But when you're talking to different people, you hear some very interesting stories from either EV, like new EV owners or potential EV owners. But one of our like group leaders here in Columbus, she said she was talking to somebody and they just bought an EV, and apparently the dealership told her that you can only charge at this station right here when she picked up her car. And this station right here was the station at the dealership. Because a lot of car dealerships have like EV charging stations there if they sell EVs to kind of demonstrate it to people. So when she bought the car, she was under the impression that anytime she needed a charge, she had to drive back to the dealership, plug in her car, and let it sit there for 4 hours to keep her car charged.
Oh my god.
So luckily, at one of these events, we were able to tell her, no, you can also charge in your garage or at home or literally anywhere else.
Yeah. Thousands of locations across the country.
Yeah, you're not just limited to the single charger here at the station. So,
oh my gosh.
Which I'm even surprised somebody like bought an EV if they were under that impression. Like that's very impressive to take that leap.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was about to say dedication.
Yeah. So
what kind of car was it?
I have no idea. I'm thinking it was either like a Bolt or a Leaf or something like that. But yeah, bought it at some dealership in Columbus and thought that was the only place that they could charge it.
Wow. Yeah, this is where education plays a key,
Yeah.
not from the consumer side, but also the dealership
Exactly.
side.
Yeah, I've told you a million times, but one of the videos I want to do is like an undercover camera thing where I've got somebody sitting in a car and like recording me where I go talk to dealers trying to buy an EV and just see what kind of ridiculous stuff they come up with. Because
a secret shopper type thing.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of people,
awesome.
at least from what I've heard, a lot of people go into it, buy an EV, and I thankfully have not bought a car at an actual dealership, and I don't really ever want to. But they'll go in to buy an EV and they'll be like, oh, well, those cars aren't this great. Let me show you this new other car that we've got. Like they'll kind of steer you away from EVs because they know they can't get all the maintenance and all the other stuff from that.
Yeah.
So,
well, except the Bolt.
Yeah, exactly.
At least my Bolt. At least mine. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I bought plenty of cars from dealerships, and when I bought my first Bolt, it was kind of like you don't want this, you can have this car instead. This is better. And it's almost like a consumer argument.
Yeah.
Why you should get this car.
Yeah, which is a shame because, I mean, like you as the consumer, if you're looking at a car, like you should get the car you want. So kind of like we're here to help you through that process because it doesn't sound like a lot of dealerships or the people actually selling the cars are very good about educating people.
Yeah, I think it will definitely get there as EVs become the norm.
Definitely.
Within like dealerships. But I agree. Right now, education is where it falls.
Yeah. Fortunately, we've actually got a like program here in Columbus. It's called the Electrified Dealer Network or something like that. But they actually like put the dealers through training so that they know how to sell EVs and what to talk about and basically kind of telling them don't steer people away from these vehicles because this is a potentially huge market and you want to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's definitely changing. I don't want to like completely dump on dealers here, but
yeah. Hopefully that gets that way here in Cleveland. I know where we bought our Bolt. The dealership was very focused on electric cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a very easy experience.
That's good.
But yeah. Hopefully some of the other dealerships follow suit.
Well, do you want to wrap this up? I think we got pretty good here.
Oh darn it! I didn't think of a joke.
I thought you had one. You said last week when we were brainstorming.
Man, I'm trying to think of a dad joke.
It's all charging related, so.
I can't think of one. Do you have one?
I don't know. This is all you, man.
The pressure's on. Well, guys, I really hope that this podcast has left you charged up.
Nice.
I tried. I'll try harder in the next one.
So that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, like we mentioned at the top of the episode, if you've got questions you want us to answer or any feedback at all, definitely hit us up on social media.
Yeah, definitely. If you have any questions or concerns about electric vehicles, let us know. We're here to talk about that.
All right, and we'll talk to you in the next episode.
See you guys.